people.
This is L. Nathan Hare. Join me right here, 91.3 FM WBNY. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 9 a.m. after Amy Goodman's Democracy Now! We'll provide objective analysis regarding current issues. Call 878-5104. It's Living for the People on 91.3 FM WBNY.
WBNY Buffalo.
The views expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of 91.3 FM WBNY, the United Students Government at Buffalo State, or Buffalo State itself. Due to the opinionated nature of these programs, listener discretion is highly advised. If you have any questions or comments about today's program, you can give us a call at 716-878-5104.
To join Mr. Hare on today's Living for the People, dial 878-5104. That's 716-878-5104. Or go to facebook.com/91.3 WBNY and comment there. That's facebook.com/91.3 WBNY. Courtesy Breitbart.
All right, here we go, Living for the People. This is L. Nathan Hare. Welcome you to our broadcast, focused on providing you insight into events shaping our national and regional world and the facts behind those events and policies that are shaping our world for today and for tomorrow. Join us weekly on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. following Amy Goodman's Democracy Now! Program. And of course, our program is live, so you can call and you can join our discussion. We really hope that you will. Our number here again is 716-878-5104. That's 716-878-5104. We're also here with Norm Ricardo, who is our in-studio audience of one. Welcome, Norm.
Thank you, Mr. Hare. Good morning, sir.
Boy, he spoke right into the mic this time. We didn't have to chase him. And of course, we're here with our in-studio genius who enables us to be able to do the live streaming of the program. Welcome, Willie H.
Well, welcome everybody to Living for the People with L. Nathan here. Call in 716-878-5104.
So I had a lot that I wanted to talk about, and I'll try to get to it. My major thought for the beginning of the program was around what, in my view, is that the major media in this country demands solutions from Democrats when they're reporting on initiatives in the country, but they don't demand solutions from the Republicans. They announce the Republicans' issues. I got an issue with inflation. I got an issue with immigration. I got an issue, with taxes. I got an issue with this, an issue with. They announce it as if this is the norm. This is this is where everybody's coming from. But when they interview a Democrat and the Democrat says, "Well, we're doing good on inflation," then they say, "Well, what about the price of eggs? Well, what about the price of gas?" And they always challenge what the Democrats are saying.
Well, what's leading that, Mr. Hare, is the media. I think it's the way the media report the news, and they ask the questions, so they get the people to ask the questions. And we know who the media is owned by, so.
And that really was the center point that I wanted to get into in today's program. Okay. Exactly where Willie has gone. But before we get there, because you gotta talk about what's being talked about right now, and what's being talked about right now is that the state of Maine has decided that even though there's only 3 of us that live in the state of Maine, and only one of us vote, we still don't want Donald Trump on the ballot in the state of Maine as a presidential candidate.
Oh wow! The state of Maine.
State of Maine said, "Get off the ballot. Don't put your name. Don't put the Secretary of State said I'm not going to put his name on the ballot."
Can they do that?
Well, the 14th Amendment says that Willie H. should have been promoting getting Trump's name off of the ballot months ago.
Wow.
The 14th Amendment says that if you are a person who has sworn an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States, and after you swore that oath, you then engaged in insurrection against the United States, you cannot come back after that and say, "Oh, I want to be an officer of the United States again." No, you can't. You already betrayed your office. You can't unbetray it. Once you betrayed it, you betrayed it.
Oh, I didn't know that. So Maine is doing what
What Colorado is doing.
Colorado's doing the same?
Now, of course, Colorado's Supreme Court, they're saying, well, I don't know if we should do that. We should let the voters decide.
Okay.
You will let the voters decide whether somebody who robbed a bank was a person who should be given a car loan?
Wow.
Would you do that? If I robbed a bank, would you give me a car loan? Would you give me credit? Of course not, right? So why would you? I mean, think about this for just a second. The purpose of the 14th Amendment is to prevent secessionists and insurrectionists from taking power in the United States. Why did this occur? Because 8 southern states seceded from the Union in 1861, even after they had all taken a vow of loyalty to the Constitution of the United States of America.
Wow.
They betrayed the United States of America. They engaged in treason against the United States of America. So once they have done that, the North overcame the South and recovered and restored the Union. Why would you take the people who betrayed the country and give them the opportunity to even get voted back into office? Why would it be rational in your mind to allow a person who was a betrayer of the United States, a treasonist? Why would you want that person to even be eligible to receive the votes of the American public? Okay. You lost your right to be eligible to receive votes from the American public when you betrayed the American public. Willie, I want to ask you this question to see if where you would come down on this.
Yeah. Okay.
If Trump were to be reelected to the presidency of the United States, what would be the oath of office that he would take? When you get elected to become council person, you take an oath of office
to protect democracy.
No. The oath of office, it says to protect the Constitution.
Right. Okay.
To honor the Constitution of the United States.
Okay.
In addition to your loyalty to the United States, it's to honor the Constitution of the United States. Okay. That's what makes the United States a country in the first place. Okay. It's the Constitution that makes you a country.
Right.
So if you've already taken an oath of loyalty to the country, and then you betrayed the oath of loyalty to the country,
right?
Why would I believe you if you come back having been reelected again? Why would I believe you if you took another oath of office to honor the Constitution and a loyalty oath to the United States of America? Why would I believe you?
Right. You shouldn't believe
it's
him.
An oxymoron. It's like being a square circle.
What's he going to say? I vow not to commit insurrection again.
Again, there you go.
You know what I mean? I guess that's all you can say, really.
Norm, check the 14th Amendment and see if the word "again" is in the 14th Amendment.
Give it a check.
I mean, it's just that insane. The arguments that are being made, it would seem to me the legal argument is whether or not you believe that Trump engaged in insurrection. If you believe that Trump engaged in insurrection against the United States, you can't possibly believe that Trump could be able to swear an oath of loyalty to the Constitution and the United States that he already broke.
Well, that's the problem right there. You probably got 50, at least we know 50% of the country don't believe he did. And 50% of the country want what he thinks. That's what they want. They want the way he wants to govern.
The lower courts in Colorado heard the issue and they said, yep, he engaged in insurrection. No, he can't run for the United States presidency.
Okay. So is this a real problem? Is this hard for him to, because it seemed like to me like he's going to run.
Well, he can run all he wants, but that doesn't put him on the ballot. The Secretary of State in whatever state you're in, that Secretary of State is the one who put your name on the ballot.
So here's my question. With that being said, say you have, say most of the bigger states that have the more of the college votes.
Mm-hmm.
and they say no, he can't run. At that point, when if there is, I don't know, more of those particular votes that are out there against him, well, I mean, and there's no way he can win, why would he run?
Well, he's going to run because he's an insurrectionist. So his objective is to bring the insurrectionists into power in the country. So he's going to run anyway.
So win or lose.
But in order for him to, he can run all he wants.
Right.
In order for him to get votes, his name has to appear on the ballot in every state. If his name doesn't appear on the ballot, it doesn't matter how many people in that state said that they love Donald Trump. He can't get their votes because there's no Donald Trump to vote for. The name does not appear on the ballot for that election.
I got you, but a state is as small as Delaware. Okay.
Okay, you'll pick on Biden's state. Okay.
Okay. I'm just saying.
No, you're picking, but it's okay.
No. If it's a very small state and it's not totally affecting how many votes you get when it really comes down to it. What is that? What am I? I'm trying to.
No, I get where you're going, but the size of the state is not the issue. Each individual state puts together the ballot for statewide offices, federal offices, whatever is up to bat in that state. That ballot is certified by some process. Most states, it's the Secretary of State that certifies the ballot. That means these are the people that you can vote for this office, for this office, for this office, and so on. That's the case in every individual state. So if Delaware decided that an insurrectionist, a southern state secessionist should not be eligible to run for president of the United States, then Delaware could not put Donald Trump's name on the ballot in the state of Delaware. So when people go to vote in November of next year, they would not be able to vote for Donald Trump because his name would not appear on the ballot. Now, what they could do is a write-in candidate. They could do what Byron Brown did in Buffalo, right? Byron Brown lost the primary in Buffalo. Then he mounted a primary campaign, and a write-in campaign, and he won the majority of the vote through a write-in campaign. So it is possible that Trump could win a write-in campaign, okay? Mm-hmm. Now, there's a constitutional question there because the 14th Amendment actually bars Trump from being, at least the way I'm reading it, it bars Trump from being able to be certified as a new public official, a federal public official. The 14th Amendment says he can't be a federal public official because a federal public official has to swear an oath of loyalty to the Constitution and to the country.
He's violated that already.
Trump can't swear an oath of loyalty to the Constitution or the country because he already betrayed the oath to the Constitution and the country. So for him to come back now and say, "Oh, I'm willing to be bound by that oath again," why would anybody believe that?
No,
that would just not make any sense. So for our audience, I mean, please call in if you have some thoughts about this. We really want to hear what people say. But the issue, as Willie started to tease it out, I think is the right issue. The 14th Amendment followed the end of the Civil War. What was our biggest threat to the democracy at the end of the Civil War? It's all those Southern secessionists who seceded from the Union in the first place. All of the people that supported them, the Jefferson Davises and so on that supported them, the Robert E. Lees and so on, those were the people who were the threat to the democracy. If you let them back into the government, then they would become an irritant and a cancer on the effective governance of the United States. That's why the 14th Amendment was created in the first place, was to bar these people. Simultaneously, the 14th Amendment made it, how shall I say, made it guaranteed that if you were a person who was born physically in the United States, by definition, you were a citizen of the United States. You didn't have to go through a ceremony. You didn't have to go to Ellis Island. You didn't have to take citizenship tests. You didn't have to do anything. You just had to prove that you were born physically in the United States, and you were automatically a citizen of the country. Why did that have to be done? Because even after the Civil War, African people were not necessarily citizens in this country. Mm-hmm. When the 14th, remember, prior to the 13th Amendment, African people were, according to the Constitution, blame it on Willie, he was there at the time, the African people were considered to be, I think this is Article 2 of the Constitution of the United States, says that for the purposes of representation, it shall be added to the whole number of free people, Native Americans, and indentured servants. It shall be added to the whole number of those people, 3/5 of all other people. African people were defined by the Constitution of the United States as 60% human.
Yeah.
By the Constitution, not by my opinion, not by, oh, Nate Hare's got an attitude. No, it's not about that. It's what the Constitution actually says. I need for you to understand the Constitution currently says that. Now, I don't know if you feel what I'm saying here.
I feel that.
The Constitution of the United States that we are under right now says that for the purposes of representation, it shall be added to the whole number of free persons, Native Americans, and indentured persons. It shall be added to them, to that whole number, 3/5 of all other people. Now, that statement in the Constitution is made moot by the 14th Amendment.
Okay.
But it doesn't change the fact that it's still there.
And nobody,
if you had honor,
and nobody wants to change it.
Exactly. If you had an ounce of honor, even a tiddly wink of honor,
yeah,
you would have gone back after the end of the Civil War and you would have rewritten the Constitution without those words in it, and you would have created a new Constitution and said this is a step towards completing the American Revolution. But you didn't do it because you still felt that African people were 3/5 of a human being.
Right.
right.
So the 13th Amendment supposedly abolished slavery. Now, you all know that it doesn't actually abolish slavery, right? Do I have to let me explain that?
Break it down, sir.
The 13th Amendment says that slavery is abolished in these United States except. See, when something says except, that means the thing that you just heard before the word except, it doesn't apply to what's going to happen after the word except. It says that slavery was abolished except as a punishment for being duly convicted of a crime. So slavery is the punishment for being convicted of a crime. And it doesn't say what kind of crime. It just says a crime.
Right.
So if you make vagrancy a crime and you get convicted of vagrancy, you can be re-enslaved again.
Right.
Well,
that's what was done across the South immediately after the Civil War.
Well, Mr. Hare, any crime that's committed that you're locked up and punished for, it seems that you'd still be under slavery if you're enslaved and if you're in jail. If they lock you up and put you in jail, then
not every place in the world looks at it like that. Some places actually look at when a person gets convicted of a crime, they get sent to a process to help rehabilitate that person so that they would not be a criminal in the future. So their system is not a system of enslaving the person, making them work for free, making them work for 6 cents an hour, and so on. See, that used to be called pimping.
Yes,
we used to put like a fur collar on a lady, and put her on the corner, and you'd hide behind a hallway in the building, and with your little 45 automatic, and so on. That's how it used to be. But that's not supposed to be what is enshrined in the Constitution of the United States.
I know, but actually that's what happens when people do go to prison. It may not be 100% because they do pay them something. But it's basically the same thing. We'll feed them, we'll take care of them, and they do whatever.
But I'm trying to help us to understand what you're saying is true. I just want you to understand that is the deliberate intention. It was because in this country, enslaving people and extracting free labor from people is a premise on which the United States was built.
Yeah.
The United States was built first on theft. Here's this humongous continent, right? You know, with all this land and mooses and bears and buffalo and bisons and indigenous Americans living on the land already with territories, Algonquins over here and Adirondacks over there and Mississaugas over here and Apaches over there, had their own land, territory, areas that belonged to them. And the European colonists, the English, the Portuguese, the Spanish, and so on, they came and took that land from the people who own that land. The United States is built on the foundation of massive theft of land, on massive murder of people. I think we talked about this once before, right? I think I found this in a book written by Frank Tannenbaum on Slave and Citizen that indicated that 95% of the Native Americans in North America were killed as a consequence of the European slaughter and theft of America.
Yeah.
There was something in the area of 23 to 25 million indigenous Americans living in North America at the time of Christopher Colon and these bandits, you know, coming to this continent. 23 to 25 million of them. There are fewer than 2 million of them alive today. The only continent on Earth that actually has the native population of the country disappear are continents that were under the control of the English in this country. The Spanish enslaved people, but they have more indigenous Spanish-speaking people in South America and Central America today than there were 500 years ago. But that's not the case in North America. In North America, they wiped out 95% of the indigenous population in this country. That's the same population that kidnapped 13 to 15 million African people and dragged them to the shores of the Americas and pressed these people. There were 4.5 million African people enslaved in the United States at the beginning of the Civil War. That's where that came from. So it's in the DNA. It's in the way that the people who founded this country reasoned that it was okay to murder people. It was okay to steal from people. It was okay to rape people. It was okay to annihilate the existence of people, that was okay in this country. So the 13th Amendment was the beginning of a change in the legal framework of this country. It said that you could no longer enslave people except, you know, because you got to keep slavery someplace. You got to pimp somebody. So if you get convicted for a crime, put a saddle on your back because we're coming to get you and we're going to take your labor. But that didn't solve the problem. There's 4.5 million African people in the South and 500,000 African people in the North, they were literally not citizens. They were here, but they were not citizens. The 14th Amendment made them citizens by virtue of their birth. Notice that when the country was formed in 1776 and its first constitution was ratified in 1789, when that occurred, you had people walking around the 13 colonies who were not born in the 13 colonies. You had French people walking around here. You had English people walking around here. You had German people walking around here. You had Spanish people walking around here, all over the 13 colonies. How did they get to vote? How did they get to own property? How did they get to sign contracts? How did they get to exercise citizenship when there was not a single shred of documentation that said that these people were citizens of the United States? They were able to operate as citizens because they were white people. Now, they couldn't, if you being a white person wasn't good enough for you to operate all of the rights of citizenship. You had to be a white male to operate all of the provinces of citizenship, right? If you were a white female, not only did you not have the right to vote, black men got the right to vote before white females got the right to vote.
That one is amazing.
So,
right there.
Mr. Hare, back then in those days, if you were, let's just say, a homesteader, and you built a home and just became a person in the environment of that area, at that point, weren't they allowed to intermingle into the voting process that way?
Well, you could become a homesteader, but I'm positing this query. If you were not a citizen of the United States, how could you become a homesteader?
Well, that's what they did. That's what a lot of the fighting and stuff was all about.
I'm not talking about what they did. How did you operate? Isn't that a citizenship function? Isn't that something that you get to do as a citizen?
Yes, sir.
You didn't have people coming from Uruguay, coming over here and saying, I'm a Uruguay citizen, but I'm homesteading over here in New York State. You couldn't do that. You had to be somebody perceived to be a citizen of the United States for you to take advantage of the homesteading program, right? So how do you take advantage of the homesteading program if you're not a citizen? Proof is they gave away 268 million acres of land to white men through the Homestead Act. I think it was passed in 1852. Over the course of the term of that legislation, 268 million acres of land were given to people for something like, $16 an acre. If I'm not even sure if that's correct.
Wow.
I think that they got a fee if they acquired 90 acres of land, they paid one price. If they acquired 150 acres of land, they got another price. It was virtually pennies for the land.
For the land, yeah.
That's what they did. But you got to do that because you were a white male. You didn't have to have been born in the United States to be able to do that. You didn't sign any citizenship papers to do that. You didn't go to Ellis Island. You didn't go to Customs and Immigration Customs and Enforcement Bureau,
right,
to do that. You didn't go to Border Patrol, to do that. You just walked over here as a European white man,
right,
and bam, you got to walk around and act like you were a citizen.
Yeah, exactly.
African people who have been pimped since 1492, who backbreaking labor and ingenuity made it possible to farm and to build and to establish a tactile economy in this country, they got nothing.
Yeah.
They didn't even get to keep their lives. They got nothing out of the deal. They couldn't keep their language. They couldn't keep their faith. They couldn't keep their land. They couldn't keep their money. They couldn't keep their women. They couldn't keep their kids. They couldn't even keep their memory of themselves. They lost everything.
Wow.
And the same people who did this to African people, their descendants, like Donald Trump, who are the descendants of those people, they're the same people who engaged in insurrection against the United States, and they're the same people that want to have the right to be able to be elected again in the United States. I think that is such despicable.
It's crazy. So,
but Donald Trump being a player, he got 3 people put on the Supreme Court. That means he got 3 out of the 9 votes in the Supreme Court were voted on by him. Republicans put 3 others on the Supreme Court. So you got a 6 vote to 3 vote Republican appointee versus Democratic appointee. And they say, well, those things about rules and laws and whatnot, they don't apply to Republicans. If Republicans say they want to do something, it's okay. Yeah. Right? So they're going to sit here and act as if it's rational. I contend that it's irrational, but they're going to act as if it's rational to assert that Donald Trump did not engage in insurrection in this country. You have tapes of Donald Trump going to officials in a state and bullying these officials to change the results of an election. How is that not insurrection? How is that not attempting a coup? How can you possibly claim that you are a justice on the Supreme Court and you don't see that as a betrayal? You don't see that for what it actually is. So I guess I'm talking a little bit too strident for our callers. They're not jumping on the phone to talk to us about this subject. So I want to get back to this media bias when we get to the other side of the break. So why don't we do this? Let's take our first break. Then we'll get back into our subject. So if you all stick with us, we will see you on the other side of the break here at Living for the People at 91.3 FM, WBNY.
FM WBNY is proud to present Democracy Now! With Amy Goodman.
Welcome to Democracy Now!
Award-winning investigative journalism.
Is the NRA imploding?
Providing relevant analysis that makes you think.
Secret State Department documents, including evidence of U.S. war crimes.
Fact-finding reports you will not hear elsewhere. Democracy Now! Airs Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. on 91.3 FM, WBNY, Buffalo. Ready for radio that's challenging, innovative, and encouraging? Tune in, Living for the People.
This is L. Nathan Hare. Join me right here, 91.3 FM WBNY. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 9 a.m. after Amy Goodman's Democracy Now! We'll provide objective analysis regarding current issues. Call 878-5104. It's Living for the People on 91.3 FM WBNY. All right, welcome back to Living for the People. This is L. Nathan here, your host. We're here with Norm McCarter, who's an in-studio audience of one. Welcome back, Norm.
Mr. Hare, appreciate you, sir.
All right, and we're also here with Willie H., who does the live streaming of the program. Welcome back, Willie.
Well, welcome everybody to Living for the People with L. Nathan Hare.
So I started the program on a different thought. I just thought that we needed to talk about this this ideation that Donald Trump should be a legitimate candidate for presidency of the United States. The reality is Trump should be barred by the Supreme Court if there actually was a Supreme Court in this country. You know, the word Supreme Court means like your top shelf, you know, A1.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking these people are top shelf A1 from what I'm seeing from them. But what should have been edicted by the Supreme Court is by the Supreme Court decision itself, Trump should be barred as an insurrectionist from being able to appear on the ballot. And even if he could appear on somebody's ballot, he could not be allowed to take an oath of office because he already has betrayed the oath of office. You can't do something that you've already you can't undo something that you've already done, right? You know what I mean? When you sound the horn, you can't take the sound and put it back inside the horn. Once it's out, it's out. So that's the reality. What I really wanted to get into is how the media, in my view, is complicit in the narrative that keeps Donald Trump's how shall I say his name and his feel in the public to keep that alive. Donald Trump just gets so much I know we got a call coming in there. Donald Trump gets so much free media attention. You know, because remember, all media is good media if it keeps your name rolling around out there.
Yeah.
So every day you hear Trump, 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 Trump. Whether it's good or bad, it's all Trump, Trump, Trump. And so people wind up having a sense of Trump as being a vital force in American politics, when Trump should not be considered that at all. They shouldn't even be giving this guy all of this airtime.
Exactly.
But they are, and they're doing it on purpose, in my view. And when they thought that Trump might be, falling down in the view of the people, they started pumping Nikki Haley up. Well, let's put the Indian or Sri Lanka woman up, and have her be the antagonist, to Joe Biden and whatnot, because this keeps a lot of friction going. Friction means there's more news reports about the friction, and therefore there's more eyes on it. If there's more eyes on it, then you can sell your media advertising at a higher price. That's what seems to me to be going on here.
Yeah.
And it is so, there's a word I was looking for, but
ludicrousy.
Well, not just that it's ludicrous, it just seems so, the word unjust is not the right word either. It'll come to me. But it just seems to me that this is something that honorable people would not do. Okay.
Yeah.
But that's what's being done. So did we have a caller hanging on there? I thought I saw.
We got a call.
Okay, why don't we grab that caller real quick?
We got a call.
Yep. Hi, caller. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Not bad, not bad.
I dragged you out of the shower to come in and say, Nate's making sense. He's making sense.
You always make a lot of sense. I'm on the road.
Okay.
But I just called to ask if you had heard about this. You just mentioned Nikki Haley, and I was wondering, had you heard that they interviewed her and asked her what was the
slavery? What was slavery? What was the cause of slavery?
Yeah.
I mean, the Civil War.
What was the cause of the Civil War?
Right, and she said she said it was it was a state governance, and it was the decisions of state lawmakers, and she didn't say a word about slavery. Now, how in the world can you say that you are a person who could be a president of the United States and you don't know what caused the Civil War? How is that even possible? Did I lose? you were stunned also, right?
Yeah. I was trying to find a logical reason, but I couldn't come up with one.
I mean, there's absolutely no rationale for that at all. And of course, she comes back. This is what I mean about the media, though. Instead of the media harping on how is it possible that a person, especially a person who is a minority, a second-generation immigrant herself, how is it possible that she would not know what caused the Civil War in the United States? She did not have a tactile understanding of what caused that. And the media talks about this as if it's within the strands of normal thought. Nikki Haley, she didn't mention that slavery was, one of the factors. Slavery was the motive factor for the Civil War. The South wanted to keep 4.5 million African people enslaved to the landowners in the South in order to continue to make the money they were making off of these landowners. The Northerners also co-signed that because cotton was the biggest cash crop of the United States, and it was the reason why the United States had become the third largest economy in the world because of their control of the cotton industry. Of course, that's what the Civil War was all about. It was about money, it was about control, but it was about using these African people as a vehicle to make all of this money, the vehicle to gain and sustain their control over this country. To act like you don't know that impeaches your credibility as being a presidential candidate, in my view, of this country. But the media didn't talk about it like that.
She's like Sarah Palin a little bit.
Exactly.
Well, it didn't affect her directly. Slavery probably didn't affect her and her family directly.
Well, no, they didn't experience what African people experienced, but they experienced bias in this country at the hands of the people that have ruled this country.
If you've been treated decent, it's not a problem. It's not a big deal. I mean, that's government's having a problem, but it didn't really negatively affect
the reality is, if you're a little bit dumb, you have the right to get a job, but you don't have the right to be the president of the United States if you're dumb, right? Because that's just dumb.
Yeah, who's going to elect you? You don't want a dumb president.
I'm just saying.
I mean,
so caller, what's your thought about that? How did it make you feel when you heard her claim in this disingenuous way that she didn't understand what the role was of slavery in the Civil War?
Oh, he must be gone.
I see somebody's calling.
Yeah, he's calling back.
All right, hold on.
You may have hung up on somebody, right? But the media didn't treat Haley as if Haley was insane, for making the statement that she made. The media treated it as if this was within the realm of a rational political thought.
Right.
When clearly it was not.
No, not
so is that our caller on?
Yeah, we got Dee Dee, though. Dee Dee.
Dee Dee, how you doing out there, Dee Dee?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing great. So how did you feel when Nikki Haley said that the Civil War was the result of critical decision-making by state officials and, the practices of democracy? but didn't mention that it was because of the enslavement of 4.5 million African people in this country.
Well, I felt like she was speaking from a place that most Caucasians, I hate to not saying most Caucasian people who don't recognize that black people have a true stake in the country in the first place, even up to this date. That she's speaking from that same place of us somehow, you should be happy that there was slavery because we benefited from that. Remember?
Yep. They did. You learn how to lay bricks from enslavement. You learn how to gin cotton.
And I'm not saying that it is I'm not saying, I don't know if I said majority, but it isn't the majority thinking of Caucasians. I don't want to say that.
I don't think it's a majority, but it is clearly a significant minority.
We know at least 50 to 60%.
Right, because you can see the way these people vote. They vote for secessionists. We have at least 120 people in the House of Representatives who actually voted to overturn the election of Joe Biden in the November 20th election. They voted on January 6th of 2021 to overturn the election, and they're still in office right now.
Right. But my call was due to what you were saying before about Donald Trump getting them ignoring his actions. And I just wanted to say that, okay, he's an employee of this company, was employed by the people who voted him in, well, employee of the country, period. But if an employer was able to own a business or run a business, should say, and then get the other workers riled up to go against the company as a whole and turn that company inside out, and actually kill some of the other employees. Right?
Are you putting it right? Go ahead, D.
Wow. Employees.
She hit it right on the head,
right? And then the next day, after, the dust settles, he's saying, I didn't do anything.
Right.
I didn't get these people, and then telling the people who actually own the company, don't worry about it. Because, this will blow over. It'll blow over.
Right.
And make me the leader, the manager.
Yeah,
whatever.
and put me back in.
Charge.
Put me back in.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it again. And I'm not even going to try to take over the whole company and become the company from now on.
Right. Now, this is the guy who just told us in the last 2 weeks that if I get reelected on day one,
I'm getting rid of some folks.
On day one, I'm going to be a dictator on day one.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't matter whether he says he's going to be a dictator on day two, because on day one, he can dictate that I'm going to be Idi Amin for life. You remember Idi Amin in Uganda, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right? And you remember that the word Dada means for life. So he declared himself to be president for life. That's what Donald Trump wants. He wants to be president for life, and he declared that he was going to use the Justice Department to prosecute everybody, not people that committed crimes, people who opposed him. That's his words. He said, those people that oppose me, I'm going to get them prosecuted by the Justice Department. How can it be that you're going to get somebody prosecuted by the Justice Department because they oppose you? Opposing a person is not a crime. But in Donald Trump's mind, that is a crime, And
they did their job.
Yep.
They were just doing their job.
Doing their job.
But that's not what they get paid to do, according to Donald Trump. Your job is to serve me. to do whatever it is I want you to do.
Yep.
He told the IRS, I got some people over here I don't like. I want you to investigate their taxes, and I want you to find some reasons why they didn't pay their taxes correctly and put them in jail. And the IRS said, I can't do that. He said, okay, well, you can't be the head of the IRS. Go home.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he put somebody else in, right? And so on.
Because he's now the company.
Right.
He is the company.
Exactly. He took the post office. He thought that mail-in voting was going to be the thing that would hurt him in the November 20th election. He thought there would be more Democrats than Republicans who would vote by mail. So he campaigned against mail-in voting. He actually had the Postmaster General of the United States, he got him to resign his job, and then he hired a dude who was a owner of a private postal company and put him in charge of the United States Postal Service. And of course, mail came late. I sent a check to my daughter in Atlanta. I think I sent it out on the, it had to have been something like the 12th or 13th of December of 2020. It didn't get to her until December 28th. It took her like 15 days for the letter to get to her, because the mail had gotten all messed up by having this guy in control of the U.S. Post Office. But that's what Donald Trump is about. You know, he will destroy everything, right, in order for him to have what he wants his way.
Well, I'll say this, Mr. Hare. I can't understand, and I don't care how much thought I give it, or for the, it just, how come people? I mean, and I know that the higher ups want him in there for the money process, but he's going to just totally, if he ever did get in, just disrupt everything that we got. But Democratic process.
Keep this in mind. What you just said, that he want that the people that want Donald Trump, they want the money and whatever it is they're getting out of it, right? But the reality is, they lowered taxes on corporations in December of 2017. They lowered taxes for corporations by 41%. That was in December of 2017. This is December of 2023. We're still here. So what that means is we could do things to snatch money away from the public and put that money back into the pocket of the predatory class in this country, and the country's still going to live. It's still going to survive. That's the lesson that they learned from that. You may have learned the lesson that, well, if they keep doing this, there won't be enough money to pay for Social Security. Yeah. There won't be enough money to pay for Medicare. There won't be enough money to be able to take care of roads and bridges and water treatment, and food testing and so on. That's what because you're a citizen, so you're looking for citizen services.
And there still be this major divide in the country that we need to try to bring close or bring back together. This divide here is something that's going to, we don't know where this is going to take us at this point, and we're on the fringes of having to deal with this, and almost like going back to if somebody like him gets in office, he wants to be king.
We're at the tipping point. Do
really?
We still have Dee Dee on? Let's get her thoughts.
Yes, I'm thinking that it's like you're saying, Norm, a divide. But it's, in my opinion, it's not just a divide. This has been long in the process of a takeover.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, it's even more insidious than that, because in my mind, it's not so much a takeover as much as it is these people who were the folks that ruled the country before the Civil War. Mm-hmm. Those people want to regain their kind of control over the country, so that they could be Idi Amin in charge, and we all serve them. And that's what this is really all about. It's about them being able to keep their place in this country to their benefit, and to the lack of benefit, to us, to the injury of us as a community of people. That's what we're faced with, right now.
Which is actually spelled slavery.
Yep. And what they used to say, slavery by any other name? It's still slavery, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
Just because you say you convicted me of the crime of vagrancy doesn't mean it's not slavery. It's still slavery.
Yeah, that's right.
Why would you even have slavery in your mouth? If you oppose slavery, the enslavement of human beings, why would you even have that word in your mouth? But it's in the Constitution.
They're going to have to change
It's
that.
in
They're
the
gonna have to
Constitution.
change that, Mr. Hare, in the Constitution at some point, because right now that wording is I guess in a way it can kind of fuel things to continue as they are.
Well, if you take it as a premise of the country that if somebody gets convicted of a crime, you can enslave that person for a period of time.
Yeah.
Then you can start building other laws around that. You could build a law that says, and once a person has become enslaved because they got convicted of a crime, that person can be used to build housing. That person can be used to kill chickens. That person can be. See, you always laugh when I say that, right?
But it's because you take it to an area that. I mean, it's just,
I know I'm an extremist, right? You know,
oh my God.
That doesn't sound like an extremist view to me, though. You know, I remember doing a study back in, gosh, this had to be 1970, 71. I was still with the League of Revolutionary Black Workers at that time, and I did a study of the federal prison system, which at that time made something like a $16 or $17 million profit off of the goods and services that were being produced by the federal prisoners.
Right.
Right? Now, they were selling these goods at rock bottom prices and so on, but the labor they were using to produce those goods was essentially slave labor in the federal prison system.
Yeah.
And I was just trying to help people to understand it because you've allowed this premise that slavery is a legitimate punishment for being duly convicted of a crime. They've built an entire system of oppression and exploitation of human beings based on that premise. If you took that premise out of the Constitution, they would stop thinking of ways to do that stuff under the Constitution of this country. And you could make radical changes in the way this country operates as a college of human beings. So, so Didi, you got any more thoughts on that?
Well, I was going to say because it's an unlawful practice according to the Constitution. But like you said, it's unlawful, but it's lawful in, they have avenues which you can, which this country is built on.
Yep.
Hypocrisy,
Trump said that, well, it's not insurrection if I didn't use a blowhorn. If I only just wrote you a note that said, kill these people over here, but don't tell anybody about it. If I just wrote a note about that, that doesn't count as
he just
insurrection.
spoke it. He spoke it really low.
and what the people who were being instructed, because there were behind the scenes persons working with that security detail,
right?
Because and they were working in his best interest. Because them telling them do not take him to the Capitol.
Listen, that's a Secret Service, and we're lucky. We are lucky that we found out. I think there were like 8 Secret Service people that were assigned to Trump on that, going from the ellipse to go back to the White House. And Trump said, no, take me to the Capitol building. And this guy said, no, I'm not going to the Capitol building. And Trump said, we got to go. I told the people I'm going to go. I'm coming with them. I'm going to be out there in front of them. He said, you ain't going anywhere. We're going back to the White House. Trump tried to grab this guy's throat to get him to turn around, right? And he said, no, we are not going to the White House. So, I mean to the Capitol building. We're going to the White House.
Real quick, let me just ask you this. This guy, this Secret Service guy, pretty much saved all of the dreams that Donald Trump has going on. Because had he went to the White House, had he made it there, and he would have been a direct participant in insurrection that could be seen by everybody.
Right. So Donald Trump's dream would have been fulfilled.
Right.
But the dream of this country would have disappeared. This one man had the kahunas to say to the President of the United States, I am not taking you to the Capitol building, period. We are going back to the White House. And if you're going to fire me, you have to wait until after we get back to the White House to fire me, because we are going to the White House right now.
Which also saved Donald Trump behind, and that is why he is able to still stand up.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, pretty much.
Right.
You know,
that man kept Donald Trump's ability to continue to act like Donald Trump alive.
Kept his dreams alive.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, well, at least we believe it. That's what would occur.
Hey guys, I'm gonna be the devil advocate on this one.
Go ahead.
If they had went there and Trump was there, I don't know. That could have fired up that group even more. So.
They may have found Nancy Pelosi and Mike Pence,
that's what I'm saying,
and may have hung them because they put a gallows out there in the parking lot.
They saw Trump, and Trump had other resources and pushing. It could have been a different story.
See, so we don't know how that would have turned out, but it doesn't seem like it would have turned out well for the United States. But we need to say a prayer to the one God, that he put an anointing on the heart of one man who stood against Donald Trump and kept this fool from going to the Capitol building and waging insurrection against the United States of America. That one man is the reason why we're still sitting here having this conversation today, right? And so we need. I mean, he may have been a redneck himself. We don't know what he was about.
Do we know who he is? Do we know?
We know. I don't have his name, but they know who he is.
Okay, yeah.
Right, but the point is that regardless of what this man's politics were, something inside of him said that what Trump is talking about doing is antithetical to the existence of the United States, and I'm not going to allow this to occur.
Right. He's looking out for his president.
That's what Dee Dee said. That saved our bacon.
Well, I kind of feel like I don't know if that was coming from a place of his own design, or was he being instructed by someone else to say, heck no, bring him here. Do not take him to that.
Like somebody put him on assignment. You know, in football they have a spy on the quarterback.
Well, he probably has I'm sure all of them have the little earphone in their ear, and they're getting their commands from somebody else. They're not making commands.
You might be right about that, but whoever that person was, God bless that person. Because I don't know what would have happened if Donald Trump had showed up at the Capitol building.
Right. It might have been
they were climbing up the walls as it was.
Right.
They were using flagpoles and stabbing cops in the chest with flagpoles. There's no telling what would have happened if Donald Trump had actually gotten there.
Plus Donald Trump would have had more reinforcements too. You got to remember that.
Well, at the end of the day, that would have been true for that particular event. But the laws of the land still stand, and there are still people behind the majority of right-living people who would stand against that, who did come forward in the court, who made got together, and they made a group, and they got together, and they tried him in the United States court. As far as him committing an insurrection. So to me, it may have been really bloody for that particular event, but it would have, to me, came all out in the wash, just like it did, as we saw over the summer. How many hearings and court proceedings they had to be able to, say that he was definitely an insurrectionist.
Yeah. So
he would have been on the scene, and he would have had blood on him himself. We wouldn't be having this conversation, as you said, Nate, because he wouldn't even be. He would be in prison probably today.
We would hope. We would hope. But you got cases in front of federal courts right now, and you got this woman. I forget her. Eileen Cannon. She's an appellate court judge, a federal appellate court judge, and this case is in her court's jurisdiction right now. And she's been doing everything in her power to delay this case as long as she can, with the hope that Trump gets elected president and then he would pardon himself That seems to be what she's been working towards. So, we have a lot of people that are in high places who are able to help Trump, and they're using their offices to help Trump. So we just have to be vigilant, I think is the theme for today. We have to be vigilant. We can't even trust the media to tell us the truth, because the media has shown that they've been complicit in keeping the Trump myth alive. And if we're not careful, we'll end up in a position where this guy could wind up being elected president again and have another constitutional crisis, that a person who the 14th Amendment says is ineligible to be a president could still become elected as the president of the United States. If that occurs, there's no telling where the constitutional struggle is going to go down, how that's going to play itself out. So we just need for our people to be vigilant. Pay attention, be vigilant. Thanks, Dee Dee. I appreciate all your input. This is a great program.
It is. I appreciate you guys being on.
All right. We got to go. They got the music, playing in my ear. That's it. That's their version of a boot that they put on my rear end to tell me it's time to get off the air. So,
looking forward to hearing all your everything you guys are sharing next year.
Absolutely.
Have a wonderful end of the year.
Thank you so much. Look forward to hearing from you again next. And thank all of you to have a great New Year's celebration. Every day you wake up, just put this in your spirit.
This is the last show of the year.
The last show of the year, that's right. Every day you wake up, the fact that you woke up, you got 100% of what life had to offer you. Everything you get from the point you wake up on is all profit for that day. Keep that in mind. You got the whole enchilada when you woke up this morning, every morning. Keep that in mind. Be blessed. Know you're always blessed. The fact that you woke up is your blessing.
That's right.
We thank all of you for continue to support us in hearing our work here at Living for the People at 91.3 FM, WBNY. We will see you all then.